The Tigers lose a series against the Blue Jays, but they finally win a ball game heading into trade deadline week. We'll talk about that and more all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Monday, July 28th, 2025. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year and a big sigh of relief. That is, in fact, a victory for your Detroit Tigers on Sunday. Now, they still lose the series. They still lose 3 of 4, and it was still a lot of ugliness, a lot of ugly baseball that we will talk about. But it's just nice to win one, man. They lose 11-4 on Thursday. We talked about that on Friday's episode. Then they lose 6-2 and 6-1 on Friday and Saturday before winning a 10-4 final. Those last 2 half innings, real wild in that Sunday ball game. But the Tigers do finally improve to 61 wins on the season. They're now 61-41. Nope. They're now 61-46, rather, and have an 8-game lead in the American League Central, which I believe is the lead they had going into the weekend or going into the series. And the Blue Jays improve this weekend as well to 63-43. One of the best records in baseball. I think they may have taken the torch for best record in baseball on Saturday. We'll see if that makes it through the games on Sunday. So my first thought legitimately is just a sigh of relief. Like, right, recency bias. I mean, openly admitting, if you're asking for a first thought after the game ended on Sunday, it's just a massive sigh of relief. Like, oh my goodness, they won a baseball game. It wasn't pretty, but the floodgates opened, and trade deadline week is a big one. It's important for, I mean, I guess everybody, really, all of baseball, obviously, but Detroit is leading their division by 8 games. That's still, even despite the last 2 weeks, the biggest cushion among all division leaders in baseball. So this was still kind of an ugly weekend. I'm not going to shy away from that. We'll talk about what went wrong here in a second. You anytime you drop 3 of 4 in a 4-game set, that's not great. But they needed some sort of momentum heading into this series against Arizona at home, who is a seller. They're already selling off their pieces. So thank goodness a victory. It is my first thought following the game on Sunday. Now let's get, snap back to reality. Up there goes gravity. And we'll talk a little bit about what went wrong, okay? Because this still is a series loss, so we're going to start with what went wrong. The offense. Now, again, recency bias, we have to put aside from ourselves, okay? I understand they just put up 10 runs. They put up 7 in the 8th inning and still got diced by 41-year-old 5+ ERA Max Scherzer through 7 innings. That should not be lost on anybody. He went 7 innings, no walks, 11 strikeouts. Okay? His ERA goes down to 4.89 after this performance. It was well over 5. So, like, I know that the 10 looks great. And again, a massive sigh of relief. We'll talk about that when we talk about what went right. But your run totals since the All-Star break are 0, 1, 2, 0, 5, 1, 4, 2, 1, and then 10. That is 26 runs in 10 games. Easy math, 2.6 a game. That would be comfortably the worst in baseball by almost an entire run. Anytime you dip below an average of 3 runs a game, that's horribly bad. Okay, the Pirates are in last and they're at over 3.3 on the season. So, and it's a 10-game sample. The Tigers' offense has been a lot better in May and June and whatever. They still are top half in the league in offensive production on the season. I'm not saying their offense is as bad as the Pirates. I'm just saying this stretch, even with a game that included 10 runs, in their last 10 games, they're still comfortably an awful offense. And that was still very apparent in pretty much every inning this weekend, except for the 8th on Sunday. Just don't want that to get lost on anybody. We're not like out of the woods here. Colt Keith, really quiet weekend. Riley Greene, not great. Got a knock on Sunday in that 7th inning or 8th inning. Great, good. Hopefully it's a turning of the corner. Continue to struggle, though. Zach McKinstry is completely falling off a cliff in terms of offensive production. And we talked about that at the trade deadline. Like, that was somewhat, I don't want to say predictable, because I that makes, me sound way smarter than I am. Like, I didn't think he'd be an all-star either. But you were kind of waiting for, like, okay, he's not going to end the season with an OPS over 800 and a batting average of like almost 300. Javi Baez, again, offensive production. He also got a hit in that 8th inning. His offensive production has also completely fallen off a cliff in the month of July. And we're also getting back the throwing errors. It's just been a train wreck, man. It's been a train wreck. And then that's only, 4 people. Like, Gleyber Torres before Sunday had been struggling mightily in his last 3 or 4 games. Torkelson, outside of the one garbage time, low leverage home run he had on Friday, was pretty non-existent all weekend. Again, until that 8th, pretty much everybody did something in that 8th inning on Sunday, but just has been so frustrating, and they've gotten such little production, and it's been top to bottom in the lineup. You can just go down the lineup card, and it's pretty much everybody. And that didn't really change outside of 1 inning to end. Now, is there a hope that, okay, they finally faced or they finally put up runs in an inning and kind of had an offensive explosion? Maybe that's some momentum. Absolutely, I'm going to just pretend like that's a thing. I'm going to hold on to that 8th inning as tight as I possibly can going into this Diamondback series. 100%. I'm not trying to take the 10 runs away from anybody. I'm just trying to, nuance and kind of look at the big picture here. There was still a lot of bad offensively this weekend. Let's talk about the pitching. Didn't go very well at times this weekend either. Then we'll get into what went right in this series where the Tigers finally find themselves in the win column. We'll do that and more right after this. First, though, got to talk to you all about our friends over at Monarch Money. Have you ever wished managing your money felt easier? Well, with Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money has a lot of features. It's more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building your wealth. There's a lot of great features. I talk about, it finding all the subscriptions you have, so you know exactly where your money is going every month, what and where your money is going to every month. But there's so much. If you share your bank account with somebody, there's a ton of features to help make sharing a bank account easier than it has ever been before. And those are only a couple again. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off of your first year. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. As always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day, and we will, of course, be back tomorrow recapping Game 1 against the D-backs, as well as, again, all week, keeping our eyes and ears to the ground in terms of a trade deadline. First, though, we got to recap this series against the Blue Jays, where the Tigers dropped 3 of 4. Cater Montero pitched on Friday, 4 innings, 9 hits, 6 runs, 5 of them earned, no walks, only 3 strikeouts. His ERA is now just exploded up to 4.66 on the season. I've kind of gone to bat to him a lot this year. I still stand by, as a depth piece, that when everyone is healthy, he is in AAA. I think he's great in that role. The problem is right now he is, we'll talk about that in stuff, being asked to do way more than that. I don't like him as a part of the rotation every 5 days, and these last 2 outings are exactly why. Just so inconsistent. Over the heart of the plate, goodness, the entire outing. Literally his entire 4 innings on the mound. It was just like he didn't walk anybody this time, and I would imagine that's just an overcorrection to the amount of out of the zone missing he had 2 outings ago. But the sinker wasn't great. I didn't think it had very much, use or that it was very effective in this outing. And one of the biggest reasons why is because he couldn't command it well on the edge. It was either a ball inside and then he'd go, okay, well, I don't want to walk anybody. Here's, a fastball right over the heart of the plate. And that is what led to this explosion offensively for the Blue Jays against him. The Tigers need starting pitching help. Sawyer Gipson-Long, been hurt. Cater Montero now has an ERA over 4.5. Troy Melton has 1 career start. They have 3 starting pitchers as it stands right now. Job obviously out for the season. They need help at the deadline in their rotation. Very apparently. We'll talk about that a little bit more at the end. The bullpen, I also was not very impressed with, to be honest with you. Really all weekend. Chase Lee got absolutely lit up like a Christmas tree. There is still a very long way to go until we are just oh yeah, Chase Lee is, this high leverage reliever that we trust consistently in close games. I've also gone to bat for him a lot this season. That doesn't mean there's still not a very long way to go in terms of his development, and his ERA has gone up quite a lot over the last 4 weeks. Will Vest gives up. They put him in the 8th inning. He blows up. Tyler Holton, while he doesn't have ugly box scores, a couple of really hard hit balls over the heart of the plate, a couple of walks, kind of shaky. Jackson, who's a new addition, got absolutely hit around the yard in the 9th inning on Sunday. Dietrich Enns, same thing. It is terrifying. That is the word I want to use. The state of this bullpen is legitimately terrifying. We are entering. Well, I was going to say entering. I think a lot of the fan base is probably already to this point where you don't trust a single reliever in the bullpen. Despite what happened on Saturday, I still do have trust in Will Vest. That might be it, man. And this rotation has not been nearly good enough to accept that or justify that. Look at Sunday. You're up 10-0 going into the 9th inning. All of a sudden, it's 10-4. You have to use another reliever you didn't want to use. I don't care that it was Dietrich Enns. You did have to use another arm. And on top of that, Will Vest had to get up and start throwing. That doesn't mean Will Vest is going to be unavailable because he threw, but you still made him get up and throw. And I understand, again, that's low leverage relievers, whatever. Who do you trust in the high leverage reliever group? It is terrifying. All the time people want to like debate and argue about who AJ brings in what situation, or like, oh, I can't believe we're going to like Hannafy here. Oh, I can't believe we're going to whatever. Who else are we putting in the game, man? Unless Will Vest is just going to pitch from the 6th inning to the 9th every game the rest of the season, he has to use somebody, and there's an argument that none of them are very good. Something that desperately needs to be addressed. The last thing I want to bring up here before we move on to what went right, we get back to the positives here, is Bichette was a menace all weekend, man. I mean, it didn't matter who was on the mound. Skubal, Flaherty, any reliever, didn't matter. He was an absolute monster. He faced like 35 or 33 pitches on Sunday alone. They could not get that dude to swing and miss. Skubal couldn't. So, like, it's not even like, oh, they don't have swing and miss guys. They don't, but even one of the best in the sport couldn't get him out of the batter's box. It was just foul off, foul off, foul off, and then single the other way. Just absolutely dominated. He went 5 for 5 on Sunday, dude. I didn't even know that until I'm looking at the box score right now. He went 5 for 5. Unreal. What went right? Seeing the floodgates open, okay? I know a lot of you probably listened to the first half of the show up to this point and are like, they won and this dude's still mad. Well, we got to recap 3 games, okay? I'm not just recapping the win. I'm recapping the whole weekend. We got to talk about what went wrong. But ending the weekend on that note of just, you know what, letting the floodgates open. Just let it absolutely, like, that just felt so great to watch. Let all your frustration out. Just empty the tank. We will take it. Gleyber Torres, 4 RBI on Sunday, 2 hits. One of them obviously was a 3-run homer the opposite way off Scherzer. The only really mistake of Scherzer's afternoon. Very important swing. Very important win. Very important to score all those runs and just have everybody be reminded of, like, okay, it's still within them. Greene, Torkelson, Dingler, all hits on Sunday. And in that inning, Parker Meadows, great day on Sunday. Great day. Not only does he get a hit in that 8th inning as well, but also hits a double off of Scherzer, hangs a slider a little bit, and Meadows is able to pull it down the line. Awesome to see. Again, there's still a long way to go before I think we're all just like, oh, yeah, like the offense is back. You know, they hit for 1 inning. It just happened to be the most recent one, which is great. Carry that momentum in, get everybody back on track, end this just disastrous slump. And let's just look back at this and go, wow, remember when we all freaked out about 2 awful weeks of baseball? It was really awful, but thank goodness they recovered and remembered, you know, what they were for the first 100 games of this season. Pitching. Couple of great starts this weekend as well. Tarik Skubal, 6 innings, 5 hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. Electric stuff, and it wasn't even close to his best outing of the year. Like, he was great, but the command was a little bit shaky. Another thing that I want to point out is like his slider is pretty ineffective. And like he's admitted that. That's a self-admitted thing. I remember the story about him. Like he came into camp, or maybe he was at the end of the year last year, whatever, over the offseason and said, you know, my slider sucks. I want it to be better, whatever. It kind of got hit around a decent amount. And he's trying to use it more because there's a lot of righties in that lineup, and he likes throwing that, you know, back leg kind of slider to righties. But that was really the only like major Achilles heel was that, and then, you know, command every once in a while. But yeah, like this, he probably goes out there for the 7th if Bichette doesn't have a 96 pitch at bat at the end of the 6th inning. So good for him. 2.09 ERA on the season. Yeah, man, he's the Cy Young front runner. He should be. Crochet had a little bit of a rougher outing this weekend as well, if you're eyeing that still. So, and also doing all that while your wife is expecting is crazy to me. Like, I don't know. That's just unbelievably impressive in front of however many 20, 30, 40,000 people. 6 innings of shutout ball, clearly locked in, screaming as he's coming off the mound against the hottest team in baseball and one of the best offenses in baseball. And knowing in the back of your mind that at any moment you could get a phone call about your wife going into labor is crazy. So shout out to the Skubal family and shout out to Tarik. Let's talk Jack Flaherty before we get into stuff. We'll do that right after this. Got to talk to y'all about our friends over at Game Day Hue. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Day Hue, and it's, do I have the hat still? I think I do. Look at this. Nice little Red Wings themed hat here. It's so cool because they are genuinely, like, you look at it and you associate it with a team. However, there's none of those giant logos either. Game Day Hue makes clean, no logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, and anywhere in between. I love rocking all these on the course. I also got a pair of golf gloves from them that are really nice, that are, I think, probably in my golf bag that's in that corner of the room, which is why I don't have them here to show you, but they're fantastic. And right now you can get 15% off your order with code MLB15 at GameDayHue.com. It's not just the hats. Like I said, they're split shade gloves made for the golf course or the perfect gift for a fan who already has everything. That's GameDayHue.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals. So now it's the time to load up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GameDayHue.com, code MLB15. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate you all for tuning in, as always. So let's talk about what went right. We talked Tarik Skubal. We talked about that kind of explosion of offense at the end of the game on Sunday. Let's talk Jay Flair. Okay, it's been a rough year for Jack Flaherty, and in this outing on Sunday, he goes 6 innings, 5 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts. The ERA is now down to 4.51 on the season. I thought the fastball was really weak early, and then by the end, those last 2 innings, he was throwing 94, 95, even touched 96. He threw his hardest pitch of the season in the 6th inning of this one as well. The curveball was super effective in this one. The command was just so much better after he got through like the 2nd inning. And that's kind of been a problem for him all season. He gets popped early and then settles down and you know, it kind of cruises the rest of the way. So it was nice to see him just get through those first couple innings. And then he was able to go cruise control and just put together a really effective outing. One of his better starts of the last couple of months. So really, really nice. And just, again, kind of a nice breath of fresh air, a sigh of relief, if you will, seeing not only the offense do what it did, but seeing Jack Flaherty have a good outing on top of that. Stuff. Kerry Carpenter is back. Trey Sweeney demoted to AAA Toledo. This team needed this. I know. I mean, Carpenter didn't really do a whole lot in this. Went 0 with a couple of strikeouts, but just having that bat over, again, like Trey Sweeney or Jake Rogers or whoever has been consistently getting at bats at the bottom of the lineup instead of him, it is just such a difference. Even just like eye test, just like reading the lineup card. It's such a deeper lineup with him in it. So hopefully that continues. But he went through, again, like a couple month stretch where he was struggling as well. So need to get him on track here. As far as the carousel that is the Tigers bullpen goes, Hartlieb is DFA'd after 1 outing. Wasn't a very good one. Luke Jackson is signed. Also did not have a very good outing on Sunday, but we'll see. They signed him through the rest of the year to a major league contract. So clearly they see something. That doesn't mean he has to stay in the majors necessarily. They can DFA him whenever too, but clearly they see something they like. Got kind of a unique release point over top like that. Has had decent strikeout numbers in the past, but this year has not had very much luck in the swing and miss department. So I don't know. We'll see. But Hartley clearly wasn't it. So you want to keep just trying out new names until something sticks, then go for it. Riley Greene gets a little bit of a mustache thing going on. Everyone was talking about that. Dude, they could rock any sort of hairdo, facial hairstyle, whatever. I don't care if it brings this team back to what it was doing. Okay, they could go out there and look ridiculous for all I care. Just let's stop playing ball like they have the last 2 weeks. Trade deadline week. We'll end with this and then a quick preview against Arizona. The Royals are buying. And they're, I'm pretty sure, still sub 500 at the time of this recording. Yeah, they're under 500, and they're bringing in pieces. Now, that has to do with the expanded wild card, right? There's more spots. The Royals aren't really out of it, despite being a couple games under 500 at the time of this. But you are the only team in your division that is over 500, and you are 15 games over 500. So I know that this has been a miserable last couple of weeks, and people are some of it's just being dramatic to be dramatic. I understand how the internet works. It's oh, they should just sell at the deadline, whatever. They're not selling, and it would be preposterous to sell. The goal is to win games at the major league level. They are 15 games over 500. Now, there's also some nuance to saying that they should not be sellers. I don't think that they should sell their entire farm system to win in 2025. That is also preposterous, okay? I don't know why there's just everything has to be extreme. I complain about that all the time. I don't understand why saying that they should buy me. That doesn't imply that I'm saying oh, you should trade Clark and McGonigal and Rayner and Briseño. And no, dude, okay? This is, I think part of it is honestly just none of us have had a good farm system before, unless you're 50 in your 50s or older. There's a chance that you just have never seen the Tigers have a good farm system. They have a deep enough farm where they can trade outside of the top four. They can give up none of the big three of Clark, Briseño, and McGonigal or Rayner, and still get decent players at the deadline. You have a year and a half of Tarik Skubal left, guaranteed. Okay? Whether you think they're going to extend him, whether you think they're not going to extend him, I don't care right now. What you are guaranteed, if you want it, is a year and a half of him left. You have to take advantage of having an 8-game lead on your division and being the only team that's over 500. You cannot stand pat and do nothing. You can't. And they're obviously not going to sell. You cannot just do nothing and twiddle your thumbs and be oh, we're building for the future. That is hypocrisy. It is hypocritical to not extend Tarik Skubal and also not buy while you have him on the roster. That is peak hypocrisy. So, choose a direction and do it. That doesn't mean sell every single prospect you have and completely mortgage the future for half a season of Eugenio Suarez. Okay? If the Diamondbacks are asking for McGonigal, then guess what? We're not getting Eugenio Suarez, and I agree with that decision. But you need bullpen help. You need it desperately. You need at least one starting pitcher. You need it desperately. You also could probably use a bat, given how awful the offense has been for the last 2 weeks. Okay? Need multiple relievers. Need at least one starting pitcher. Could use a bat on top of that. That is how I view this deadline. My opinion means nothing to anybody, okay? I'm an idiot. But that is how I view this. And I think that this week is going to tell us a lot about this front office because this front office has never been in this position. They have never been good and able to trade. We're in year 3, and there have not been a lot of major league additions to this roster that weren't already in place. That doesn't mean there's been none. Glaber's been a great ad, right, etc. But this is the first time that this front office needs to prove that it can make buying caliber trades without completely mortgaging the future. There is moves in between extreme buy and stand pat. I promise. And that's what this week needs to be. You need help. You need help desperately on this roster. If the last 2 weeks have taught us anything, it's that. And you have to take advantage of being 15 games over 500. You aren't 61-46 and prioritizing, 2 years from now. You play to win the game. Okay. Hopefully I articulated all sides of that I wanted to decently. Tigers play the Diamondbacks 3-game set at home. The Diamondbacks are sellers. They have already sold off multiple, actually, pieces. And we're still 5 days away, 4 days away, whatever, from the deadline. And they will certainly make more. There's no chance Suarez is on that team on August 1st. So, take the momentum. Take that 7-run inning to end the ball game. Carry that momentum into this series. Win some games at home. And beat a team that is actively trying to get worse. And get this thing back on track. You win a series against the Diamondbacks. You bring in some reinforcements through the trade deadline. Whole different outlook on what the next 2 months are going to be. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. And we, of course, will be back tomorrow recapping game 1 and talking about more deadline stuff. Appreciate you all greatly. We're going to get through it. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch y'all then, baby. Go Tigers.